Hey guys, Parfax here, and today we're going to talk a little bit about the PTR. All right, let's get started. All right, so I'm here on the PTR, and I wanted to, well, bring to everyone's light a few things about the PTR that you probably should know. Now, these aren't going to be specifically like hidden buffs or hidden nerfs that, you know, maybe people didn't see in the patch notes or just aren't in the patch notes altogether, although we are going to sort of touch on something like that here very shortly. But I really want to talk about how we should address feedback and how we should really look at the PTR, specifically when it comes to a couple different weapons, mainly being the bow. Now, I know a lot of you have been playing the PTR, and you will know that the bow is absolutely shredding. It seems to do way more damage. It just seems to be absolutely knocking out everyone. What if I told you the damage hasn't changed? What if I told you that the reason the bow is absolutely shredding has nothing to do with the PTR or the changes they've made to the bow? You might be saying, Parfax, you are a freaking idiot. Well, hear me out. So I'm just going to look at my gear here, and let's kind of go over what I'm running. So we can look at my bow. You know, we do have Vorpal Chain Knights, which isn't bad. Then we have keenly empowered, mortal power, lost bane. So these weapons are very meh. You might be saying, Parfax, you put the Lasbo on here, and you're going to be doing even more damage. I know, but hold your thoughts, okay? Specifically, what I want to look at is my armor. So my armor, you see here at the helm, I have literally 3 perks that don't do anything. My chest piece, I have refreshing evasion. That's it. My gloves, I have literally nothing. My legs, we have enfeebling poison shot, refreshing ward vigor. And refreshing ward's really never going to do me much good. Vigor is very, very bad. And then the last pair of boots here, we have refreshing evasion is the big perk on here. Now we're not going to look at the, well, we can look at the jewelry here too. Specifically the amulet. You can notice I don't have health on it or divine. We don't have some of our more, you know, any good perks, right? We have brilliant, lightning damage, poisoning. The poisoning being the only stat even usable here. Then we have refreshing, despised, and purifying toast. You might be like, Parfax, I know everybody has bad gear on the PTR. Now, some people have been crafting, I hear, but for the most part, people are wearing very, very bad gear, unless they've gotten some really good things off the reward track. I did have this pair of legs. Where are they at here? These are actually pretty good, resilient, refreshing con. These could be something you could use, and they're even light. The only reason why I'm not wearing them is because I was running 200 con, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But the reason why I want to bring this up is because if you noticed, one thing that I didn't have even one piece of is resilient. And that is a massive, massive, massive deal, especially when it comes to the bow. The bow and mages specifically being the fact that they scale their damage almost exclusively on crits. With Dex, you crit all the time because you're dodging every 10 seconds, you get a free one. The Dex just has higher crit than pretty much everybody else. The Dex, especially the bow, it crits a lot. And when you're on the PTR and you're looking through your gear and you're like, oh, no resilient, no shirking fortification, no physical aversion, none of these, the bow is going to hit way harder. And the fact that these ranged weapons have the ability to hit you before you even get there, it is way easier for them than on live to actually kill you or burst you down. That's why when everybody's like, oh my god, bow, so my god, it's so OP. No, the only thing they changed about it was the ability to hit shots. Now, am I saying the bow is going to be bad? No. But the bow is not nearly as powerful as people think it is, because go on live server, have somebody sit there, have a healer sit there, have your DPS sit there, and just pink them. Allow them to, you know, hit their potions. Now, this is going to be, now don't headshot them every time because you're not going to do that, right? Hit them in the chest. Just keep hitting them, hitting them, hitting them, hitting them. It can take some time before you kill them. Now, just have him not attack you and dodge around and hit his potions, right? Don't even attack you. Don't even worry about that. Don't attack you. Just dodge around. It's going to take you even longer to kill him. Now have him attack you, and if you're not playing it correctly, you're going to lose, right? So even if you are able to hit more shots, the bow's damage isn't nearly what you see right now. People don't understand is the bow will absolutely shred people, specifically in light armor, and specifically people with very low resilience. Resilient is a massive, massive perk against bows, and physical aversion is an absolute devastator for bows. It is so much reduction when it comes to bow. It is absolutely incredible. So everybody talking about, you know, how the bow is super OP now, honestly, they just don't understand it's mainly because of the gear we have. If you put, because I can even half hit a bruiser with the bow. You're not going to half hit a bruiser on live. I can guarantee you that, unless you're on some server that doesn't have any gear. Even with BIS gear, you are not going to half health a bruiser with one shot, one pen shot. You know, you might hit a pen shot for 5k, right, on somebody that has basically no resilient, but, you know, maybe a bruiser, right, 5k, but that means that person's still going to have like 60% of his health left, and he hits a pot and he's full health again, right? So everybody should temper their thoughts if you've played and how oppressive the bow can feel like on the PTR. And that's why I had somebody specifically comment about how if I don't put bow in the S tier, they're going to report me on the forums. And they were slightly trolling, I imagine. But that got me thinking about how people don't quite understand exactly why the bow is overperforming. And actually the fire staff is actually doing some serious work in there. And it's because they scale off crits. And with no one have any form of crit resistance, just put in resilient on your gear and see how much less damage the bow does. So keep that in mind when you're evaluating and when you see people talking about specific weapons. Now, another weapon I actually wanted to talk about was what people, well, I put up a bunch of polls. I don't know if you guys saw it. A lot of you guys did. But I asked people, specifically every weapon, to see if they think the weapon is good, bad, OP, and whatnot. One weapon specifically got the vote for the most OP weapon, and it wasn't even close. Now, if you add in the top two stats of either top tier and OP, you put those together, it was actually grade X by a significant margin. But the one weapon that got it should be nerfed more than any was the blunderbuss. Now, if you guys didn't know, the blunderbuss actually got a pretty big nerf on the PTR. Now, it didn't get any direct nerfs, but it was kind of a nerf similarly to the Ice Gauntlet. It wasn't a direct nerf to the weapon, but it was a nerf to how you pull it off. So on the PTR, they have a new CC system to where before, the first time you CC, it was 100%. The second time you CC, it was 80%. And the third time you CC, it was, I think, 60%. Now, it is the first time you CC, buddy, it's 100%. The second one is 50% effectiveness. And then the third one you can get out of. So when you go to do your combo on the blunderbuss, I know I don't have it up right here. Let's go ahead and just pull it. Just don't worry about the skills. We're just putting skills in there. And you have the sword and shield. So let's say we've just jumped to the target sword and shield, and we're going to hit him with the knockdown. So let's say this is my sword and shield. We've dashed to them. We've staggered him. We've hit him with a shield bash, and then we hit him with the knockdown. We're going to walk up and hit him with shrapnel blast. They actually are on the ground for 50% less time. Now, I think because stagger isn't a hard CC, it's kind of like, well, a stagger. It doesn't really count against that, that diminishing returns. But when you shield bash him into a knockdown, you can actually roll out of it. On the PTR, most of the time, if somebody hits me with an actual knockdown from the blunderbuss, I can actually get out of it. Now, some people are worse at using the blunderbuss than others, and you can still get the combo off. But even without freedom, I'm still able to get out of a lot of the blunderbuss combos, where on live, even with a few pieces of freedom, with 3 pieces of freedom, I just upgraded to 4, but with 3 pieces of freedom, you can't get out of it for the most part. So that is actually a very big nerf to the blunderbuss, because if the blunderbuss can't actually like do its combo, the blunderbuss is a very not effective weapon. It is not nearly effective if you have to play it fairly versus doing the one-shot combo. So take that with what you will. People are still going to one-shot you with it because, you know, they're just a lot better with the weapon, but it's a lot easier to get out of the blunderbuss combo now than it is on the patch right now. So keep that in mind when you guys start really looking into what you want to play. So it got a pretty decent little nerf. Last thing I wanted to talk about is something I haven't seen too many people actually talk about, and that is the stealth nerf to dodging. Now, we know about the 2-second delay, or the 1 or 2 second delay on your stamina regen, but what they didn't tell you is they actually nerfed all dodge rolls across the board. Why they did this, I don't know. They don't want people running as fast, but they nerfed the speed of our dodge rolls. Now, if you were on live and you dodge roll, there's not a slowdown at the end of this dodge roll. Now I'm in light armor. You can see here 12.7. So that little bit of like slowness, if you had somebody walking next to you, you can basically walk as fast as you can dodge now. It originally was quite a bit more when you're on like when you're on live server, but it is a slight speed up. So not only did they make it to where you can't dodge all the time because of the delay getting your stamina regen back, they also made it to where you're not as fast when you dodge roll. And this is actually the case as well with other armors. Oh, I'm putting on light. Hold on. Put on some medium. There we go. Oh. Let's go. Where's medium? Heavy. There we go. You can see here. And you really won't notice it until you swap back and forth. Why they did it, I don't know. But it is actually a big change, and it's going to be a big change the way you play your classes and the way you play, you know, all your open world. This is going to give an interesting dynamic. I don't know. I mean, this is probably going to benefit your Great Axe Warhammer users the most, right? Because they have gap closers. They have Path to Destiny to slow you down. You have Grab Wall to catch you. You have Charge to... The weapons that are probably going to get hit by this the most are, again, going to be your Fire Staff Ice Mages. You might have to go into a Rapier back bar with one of your mage weapons to really be able to get out. You're not really going to be able to kite anymore. You'll still be able to kite a little bit, but if they want to continuously chase you down, they're probably going to be able to get to you, even in medium armor now. All right, guys, thanks for watching. This video isn't terribly long. I just want to make a quick video about a few things you should really take note of on the PTR when you're, you know, looking at feedback, when you're seeing what people are talking about. It's because everybody overreacts a little bit to changes. And we're going from live server where a lot of us have at minimum probably 2 of what we would consider BIS perks, and you're going to, you know, the PTR with absolutely no BIS perks, or maybe like 2 or 3 BIS perks on your entire gear set. So keep that in mind when you're testing things. I know we can look at stuff and play and we're like, oh my god, this is oppressive, but it's really hard to actually, you know, find out what's going on or how things are going to play when you don't even have your gear. For instance, the bow doesn't get any good perks. Great Axe Warhammer, they have just a handful of insane perks, right? So when you see people talk about how OP the bow is on PTR, it's not nearly as OP as you think it is, because the PTR, you just hit way harder because no one has Resilient and we don't have any perks. Once you start getting all your Insatiable Gravwells and your Enfeebling Maelstroms and your Leeching Path of Destinies and your Sundering Shockwaves, all those, you know, and all the other weapons, Refreshing Pillar of Fire, Accelerated Flamethrower, all these better perks than the bow has, you start really running into that gap is gone and swings the other way. So trust me, I mean, we'll see. Maybe the bow will need a nerf. Like, I'm not saying it doesn't, but I'm saying when you test stuff out, you really actually have to evaluate what's going on, and people tend to not do that. They just kind of, they evaluate what they see and they don't take into account of what's actually going on. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.